All right, so we're going to go ahead and welcome Santa. Santa, welcome to SJREI.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you share with us some of your insights for this year.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting Santa to your party, and let's get started. Boys and girls, moms and dads of all ages, Santa wants to tell you a story about 'twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutter, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. How what to my wandering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With the little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagle discoursers they came, he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Everybody, now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the house, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves before the wild hurricane fly, they meet with an object and mount to the sky. So up to the housetops of coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the pawing and prancing of each tiny hoof. As I drew my head in and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back. He looked like a peddler just opening his sack. His eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses. His nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. He was chubby and plump, right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. With a wink of his eye and a nod of his head, soon let me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. Laying a finger aside of his nose, giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle. Away they all flew like the down off a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Ho, 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 ho. Now, there was one little phrase in there that Santa didn't use. Did anybody pick up on that? Right after we're talking about facial expressions. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. Santa quit smoking, so he doesn't say that anymore. So, anyway, what do you think Santa's favorite song might be? It has to do with bells. Yes, it's Jingle Bells. Let's sing a song. Dancing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go.
Come on, people, let's sing.
All the way. Ho, ho, ho. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Fantastic, fantastic. You did a great job. Now, when Santa was telling the story about the reindeer, there was one that he was missing. Does anybody know which one that was? It's Rudolph, yes. And we're going to sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But as we sing it, whenever you hear the word red, you point to something that's red. So let's point to. And when you hear the word nose, put your finger on your nose. And when you hear the word reindeer, let's make antlers like this. So let's try that. Red nose reindeer. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never left poor Rudolph, joined in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, "Yippee! Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history." Well, you did a great job there too. Now,
I don't know. It's kind of like two left feet trying to remember which one.
now, also, so that makes 9 reindeer there that you've heard, but there's 11 reindeer. So we have Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen and Comet and Cupid and Donder and Blitzen and Rudolph. That makes 9. And then there is Olive. Have you heard of Olive? Olive the other reindeer.
Oh.
That's 10. That's 10. And there's an Oriental reindeer called Then How the Other Reindeer. So that's 11 reindeer. So Santa wants you to know that there's lots of hidden things in those songs. So
It sure is.
Santa wants to do one more song. And this song, everybody needs to stand up. Stand up. In 1937, Santa had a Christmas party at the North Pole. He invited lots of people to come see the North Pole. And he also had a new song that he wanted to get out to the world. And he invited Alan Featherbottom. Does anybody know Alan Featherbottom? Alan used to be a disc jockey for a radio station in Cincinnati, Ohio. And when Alan heard Santa's song, he came back and he stole it. He stole Santa's song and he renamed it. The song he renamed, he called it the Ho Ho Pokey. And Alan called it the Hokey Pokey.
Oh.
So let's start with the Ho Ho Pokey. Put your right hand in, put your right hand out, put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. We do the ho ho pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left hand. Put your left hand in, put your left hand out, put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. We do the ho ho pokey and we turn ourselves around. That's what it's all about. Now put our beard in. Put your beard in, put your beard out, put your beard in, and you shake it all about. We do the ho ho pokey and we turn ourselves around. That's what it's all about. Oh, Santa forgot the biggest part. You put your backside in, you put your backside out, you put your backside in, and you shake it all about. We do the ho ho pokey and we turn ourselves around. That's what it's all about. Well, now, Santa wants to tell you some stories. Does anybody know why the elves have pointy ears?
Tell us, why do they have pointy ears?
Well, the elves do like Santa, but they take a super long winter's nap. We're talking 3 months that they take a nap. And when they wake up, they are stinky. Whew. So Mrs. Claus takes the girl elves and Santa takes the boy elves, and we take them out to the showers and just hose them down and hose them down and hose them down until they start smelling pretty good. And then this doesn't hurt, but hang them by clothespins on the clothesline. And that's how they get their pointy ears.
Nobody knew.
Oh my God.
So do you know what the reindeer like to eat?
Tell us, Santa.
They like things that they can chew. Carrots are really hard for them to digest because it's not grown at the North Pole. So if you do happen to feed reindeer carrots, break them up into little bitty pieces so they can digest them easier. But their favorite foods are celery and oatmeal. And the reindeer food that they normally eat at the North Pole is moss and lichen. So, but any of those things, they really like to eat it all. So that's 4 things that they really like. So, and Santa wants to know, does anybody know how old Santa is right now? He's just getting up there. Take some guesses. Well, when do you think Santa was born?
1890.
1890. Well, actually, that's really close to when Mrs. Claus came on the picture. But no, it's much, much earlier than that.
1600?
Santa was born somewhere around 280.
Wow. Okay.
But he kind of forgets every once in a while. It's kind of gets a little foggy that far back. So, but he's still getting around pretty good. So, and then Santa's wanting to know, do you know the elf rules that they live by?
The rules that elves live by?
Yes.
No.
Elf code.
They treat every day like Christmas, and there's room for everybody on the nice list. And the best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing it loud for all to hear.
Oh, fun.
And one more thing.
Uh-huh.
Have you do you know why Santa gives coal? It's not for what you think. When Santa started giving coal to children that were naughty, it was because coal was substance that warmed the house. And Santa gave coal to the children to warm their hearts. And that was Santa's intention of giving coal. So now here's a little riddle for everybody. If there's this house that's built outside has 4 walls, and each wall faces south, and a bear comes by, what kind of bear is it?
Polar bear.
Polar bear, yes, you got it. 4 walls, all facing south. You're at the North Pole. You got it. All right. So, and then you know what the elves learn in school, don't you? The alphabet.
Oh my God.
and that the reindeer are not doing very good in school either because they're down in history.
Yeah.
So, are there some questions somebody wants to ask Santa?
I have a question, Santa.
Yes.
Santa, what is your favorite reindeer?
Favorite reindeer? it's hard between Vixen and Prancer. But Vixen's just such a loving deer and very strong and really is the leader of the group, even though Rudolph's up front. And then Prancer just kind of ornery. He likes to do his own thing, but he's a good team member also.
Thank you. Who else has a question for Santa?
How many elves do you have?
Elves.
That's a good question, Jim.
At the North Pole, there's usually around 1,000 elves, and they do every kind of job you can think of, from cookie baking to letter sorting to carpenters to reindeer caretakers to engineering, anything you can think of. They are such an amazing group of Santa would say people,
And
but they're actually elves.
And do your 1,000 elves live with you, or do they have
So they
separate houses?
live at the North Pole, yes.
Yeah, but where? Do they have their own
In the-
houses, or do they live with you?
The North Pole is a community, and so they have their own sleeping quarters and
Is it like a big dorm?
it's more cabins, and there's 3 and 4 in a cabin.
And who owns these cabins? Do you have investors who invest in these cabins?
Well, so far Santa hasn't gotten into investors, but yes, they are. They seem to be. They invest in themselves because it's self-sustaining.
See.
So Santa, tell me, do you and Mrs. Claus have any children?
We have one daughter, and so maybe someday she will become Mrs. Claus. She's in training.
That's great. Other questions for Santa Claus?
So she's in training. Does that mean she's got you have a grandkids?
Does Santa
You
have
have
grandchildren?
grandchildren?
Not yet.
Not
Santa's
yet.
been working that for a long time and nothing.
Jeff, did you have a few more questions?
I want to know how does your sleigh go around the earth so quickly? Like you deliver all your gifts and coal within 24 hours. That's one thing I've always wondered.
All right, that's an easy answer, but it takes a lot of explaining to do.
Okay.
First of all, there are more than one team of reindeer. There are 8. So how many continents are there? 7. 7 continents. So Santa has supply teams with sleighs loaded for each continent. So when Santa gets through with one continent, he'll go to the next instead of having to go back to North Pole and restock and get everything ready again. So it saves him a lot of time to just unhook the sleigh and hook it back up and go again. So Santa goes to every continent, and then he also works with the time changes. So he starts at the international date line and keeps working around, and that's how it all works out.
I just had another question. So how does Santa's elves make so many toys for billions of children?
It is a really amazing sight to see how they just work together, and they are so creative. They make every kind of toy that you can think of, going from really elaborate electronics to the basic dolls and drums and balls.
Wow.
Awesome.
When I
Any
was,
any last questions we have for Santa before
Yes,
he has to rush off?
I have a question. When I was a child, I used to leave cookies and milk out for you. And I think a lot of other children did too. Is that how you got fat from eating all those cookies?
Oh, not only that, but Mrs. Claus is a fantastic cook. She does all sorts of things all the time. So, but that does have a kind of a effect on Santa. And every once in a while, it's a little struggle to get up those chimneys. But so Mrs. Claus actually asks Santa to not to disappoint the children by not eating the cookie, but just take one bite out of the cookie, and that saves lots of room for the whole night.
Well, could you take a doggy bag for the uneaten cookies and give them to your elves later?
They don't have quite the sweet tooth that Santa does. So if Santa took the doggy bag, he would probably be eating them on the way.
All
Or
right,
maybe we should call it
Santa.
a reindeer bag.
There you go, reindeer bag and feed them. Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
Is there any last words that you'd like to leave us with?
well, yes. Santa would like to invite you to his website, and you'll have that a little later. But also, Santa wants to tell everybody that we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Santa loves you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Santa. Thank
Merry
you for
Christmas,
joining
Santa.
us.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Santa.
Thank
And
you
so-
so much.
I just want to let everybody know that we'll be sending out an email with your address on it. And you've been gracious enough to offer a Santagram to our group at a discount with a 20% discount using our SJREI coupon code. And a Santagram is a personalized message to somebody that you want to send it to. And so if you're interested in doing that, we will give you that information at the end of this this webinar here. So thank you.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
Santa.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Bye.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
All right. So we do have Aaron Norris in the house. Aaron,
Hi guys, how's it going?
good. How are you?
Good, working late, but things are good. Can't complain. Sorry it's a
Yeah.
little dark. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, it's like twilight. Now, are you dancing or what? Yes. So, what do you know? What do you know about this whole shutdown and what it's going to do to our economy? What can you share with us?
Oh boy, I don't know. Our the county of Riverside, our sheriff just came out, Chad Bianco. You might have seen him on the news, basically calling Newsom out for some of his recent behavior as sort of the do as I say, not as I do. So, but I have a family member in the hospital right now, so I
Oh,
don't think it's
no.
cute when you should get shown up when you show up and you get turned away. So I
Yeah.
don't take it lightly.
No, no. Well, we're sorry to hear about your family member, COVID.
Yeah, it's just very isolating for people who are in the hospital right now, and it's just it's
Absolutely.
no fun. So I'm hoping the vaccine gets out there. I think it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're administering it now over in Britain. So,
How'd the Brits get it before we did?
uh,
Terrible.
yeah, it's called legislation. So I have a question for you. What can we look forward to as far as what the economy and real estate might be doing short term, like, 2021, and how you think this COVID is going to be impacting, next few years?
Yeah, when we presented with you guys, we talked about, we thought that it didn't matter what party you were from, but the Fed, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party talked about writing more checks that started with a T. So I don't think the aid is done yet. And I know it makes a really sexy headline, but I follow the foreclosure data and there is none.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would hate to see, I've heard investors very focused on raising money and getting focused on foreclosures. You're just going to be waiting for a long time, if not forever. So I'm actually working on an article right now called 2021, the year of off-market real estate again. So,
Wow.
so looking for those value add opportunities like accessory dwelling units and adding square footage in California. And it doesn't mean some distress won't be there, but you know, what's interesting is I just discovered iBuyers in Phoenix, 10% is actually going to institutional investors who also raised billions of dollars to buy distressed real estate, and they're having to figure out how to spend it elsewhere.
Yes. Yeah, I suspect that they're going to be using that money to try and loan it to people that are trying to buy or stay in place because they just aren't going to be able to place it fast enough.
Yeah, I think they'll do a combination of that and build to rent as well. I think they've
Yeah.
learned the hard way over the last decade that being a landlord isn't easy, especially when you own old stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. So I thought they'd be spending a lot more money on build to rent, but I guess $1 billion is hard to deploy on new construction, especially during COVID.
Well, and I saw some construction numbers that actually are showing slowdown and in the construction industry, both residential and multifamily, more multifamily than residential, but new builds are not performing like they thought they were going to, or they're not coming out of the ground as fast as they thought, one of the two.
Well, supply chains are a little hard right now. So we build in Florida still. So I'm seeing the builder that we work with is basically saying he's having to buy things like appliances. He's having to order because it's taking 90 days just to get. So supply chains in a few different categories have been very disrupted. And then depending on what state you're in, you've got building departments that are backed up. It's crazy. So it doesn't surprise me, but I think new construction is going to be hot next year.
Yeah. So tell me this, you mentioned Florida.
Mhm.
I don't know the area that you guys are in, but I was recently in Orlando and the cabbie or Uber driver was telling me how normally there's 70 million passengers that come through the Orlando airport that didn't come this last year, that it was more like 2 million, that Marriott was laying off over 40% of their staff and starting to liquidate, and he expected a lot more. So what's going to happen in, let's say the center and even south of the US? Because I mean, we talk a lot about California, but what about the service workers, the, vacation areas, the, those markets? I mean, do you think that there's going to be enough aid to keep people in their homes? Do you think the landlords are the ones that are going to suffer because the renters can't pay and there's not going to be any bills for the landlords to keep their houses? What do you?
I don't know. I think more aid is coming. I'm on the board. I think I mentioned this when we spoke at SJREI. I'm on the board of 211 in Riverside County, and there was a local landlord that just got a $500,000 check to backfill via grant money via a nonprofit from CARES Act money that the county got, and it got passed to our United Way. So I think as a real estate investor, we have to really pay attention to not only national and state resources, but at the local level. There might be some gems hiding out for you that you just don't know exist because it's not in your backyard, and it's going to be sort of our job to look. If not for us in particular, it's for, our tenants too. By dialing 211, if you don't know what that is, it's a health and human services hotline. It's nationwide. You can call, or your tenant can call, and get access to everything from food stamps to utility assistance. You just never know what's out there. So I'm hoping more checks that start with a T start rolling out. By the end of this month, I'm really hoping they can get something through, which will definitely help. And I think we're starting to see that they understand the pipeline. I hope that they have to deal with everybody in the chain. So, at the end of the day, who's holding these mortgages? It's not the banks. It's probably your pension fund.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want those to go upside down. That's not cute. So
yeah.
we're just all tied together, and I hope maybe in 2021 it'll be the year of Kumbaya. Maybe we'll start working together. That's my Christmas wish, you guys. Can you make that
That's your
happen?
Christmas.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll put that down. We'll
There
make
you
sure
go.
Santa gets that. So I did notice something on Property Radar the other day. You guys have rolled out nationwide. Can I say that?
Yes. Oh my God, yeah, we're so excited. We
So
haven't made a big
share what you guys do. Come on, tell us what do you got going on there?
Yeah, Property Radar has been serving the 5 Western states for 13 years. And part of the reason I got brought on is to go national. So, you know, I've been investing in Florida for years, and the data that's available is very unique. So however niche you want to get with what you're doing in life, it's pretty fun to be able to combine property, people, and mortgage data in really unique ways. So I like chasing land right now in Florida, and it allows me to do that and do a little bit of mini skip tracing. If I find a lot that I really like and it's next door to one that's, you know, I can see that there's no endangered species issues, you know, I've got the intel to go and find it. So I've been begging Sean for years to go into Florida specifically, and it's fun. So if you've not played with Property Radar, it's almost overwhelming because there's over 200 fields in there. So you throw me a niche and I can probably back data for whatever you want to do. It's pretty cool.
So now it says nationwide. Does that really mean all 50 states? You guys have the data on all 50 states? How often is the data being updated?
Depends on the data. For instance, the 5 states, one of the differences with national is that we are not tracking every foreclosure stage in every state. That will remain in the 5 states for now. But in other states, we're tracking pre-foreclosures and foreclosure data. They're still updating some of the data right now, but yeah, all 50 states. You did bring up something about foreclosures specifically in the hospitality. Yes, there definitely is going to be more foreclosures in certain commercial sectors. So for those who are really creative in repurposing, you know, retail or hotels, it might be a very unique opportunity.
Do you think, but just kind of following that line, let's say the markets that are heavily based on the tourism, like let's say Las Vegas or Orlando, are those markets going to have some recession components that will result in more properties being sold?
You know, what's been interesting to watch is I think one of the things we have to step back and look at are the service sector employees, buyers. So one of the really weird things to watch is places like Orlando and Las Vegas, how buoyant they've stayed, considering what well, Las Vegas has a very high unemployment rate. Florida does not. They're actually faring better, surprisingly, than California in many areas like LA. So I wouldn't rule them out. As soon as the vaccine, hopefully they'll experience sort of that V recovery that we've been hearing about.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, for the service sector. But yeah, those are definitely some renters that I'm worried about. But in the markets that we've just mentioned, I don't know how many of the service sector employees are buyers, but they certainly are renters. So we'll see.
So Property Radar nationwide allows us to go in and do research, build lists. What else can
Yeah.
we do? Like,
One of the coolest things that people don't realize is because there's email and phone numbers attached to Property Radar, it allows you to also introduce a lot of automation to the mix. So I've been playing with things like we have several partners. We're very technology agnostic, but working with Zapier, it connects to over 2,000 programs like CRM systems. And you can actually hire partners that can basically manage your account, because let's be honest, it's not like our industry is very tech forward always. It's okay.
Oh, come on, Aaron.
So one of the cool things, like we have a partner called Print Genie that can do one-off mailers. So if you create this beautiful niche that you just own, and every time a new lead is triggered, you can print off a one-off postcard and then send the lead into your CRM system and basically say, hey, in a week, I want you to remind me to follow up. So it's the automation piece that I'm going to be playing with a little bit more in 2021.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And is it mostly residential data, or will you also have commercial?
Commercial data's in there.
Oh, it
All
is.
kinds of commercial data. And actually, there's even more commercial data in the advanced mode where it breaks it out by kind of commercial, which is really cool.
That is great. That's great. Does anybody have, if you're okay with this, Aaron, can we open it for questions for a few minutes?
Of course.
Okay. First
Richard.
of all, thank you for popping in. We so appreciate it.
Of
But
course.
let me open this. If anybody has a question, go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can chat either way.
I'm
And
looking up Richard's
Property
nose.
Radar is propertyradar.com.
Hi. Hi. Sorry. The family member that was in the hospital was just saying hi. Thank God for technology.
So you have like a Zoom call with them right now, or?
Yeah, actually, I set up in her, probably way too much information, but you guys have known me a long time. I have a mother-in-law that's in the hospital and she's experiencing paralysis. And we set up, I bought this cool little rolling cart and connected her iPad to it that's Siri operated. So the family can call into her and it automatically turns on. So
That's so awesome.
it's extremely isolating right now to be a senior in these facilities because you can't get in. You can talk to people through windows, but you're not allowed in. And for people who are, it's really hard right now. So
It's
this
terrible.
offers a little bit of hope, which is very cool.
Yeah, I hear about people saying, I just hope they don't die alone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, San Jose, you guys were I was working with an appraiser whose mom was one of the very first people who died of COVID. So I know there's so much politicism around all this stuff, but there's just a very human side that makes me sad. I hope we figure out a way to get on the same page in 2021.
I agree with that. All right, questions, either open your mic or chat.
Yeah, one of the things that you might want to ask me is the data sets. Like if you're trying to tackle a specific niche, I might be able to save you money if you tell me what you're trying to tackle and I can figure out some very interesting things. I'll give you a few. My few favorite ones, if you're developing a list that a list provider will probably not give you, is take off anybody who's purchased in the last 5 years, the property is vacant or in foreclosure or listed. Those 4 can sometimes save you thousands of dollars every time you do a mailing list, and you can take them off.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, how about, can you build me a list of anybody who's purchased with cash or hard money in the last 12 months?
Yes, I can.
Because then I can see what is turning, what neighborhoods, and then I can go after avatars that match that, right?
Correct, yes, and you can back into, on top of that, very specific property types, SFRs that are 3.2s that are under 1,500 square feet that are under the FHA limit.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
Very
love it.
cool way to save a lot of money by talking to the right people a lot more often.
How about, can you create lists of people who have recently inherited properties?
You know what? Very cool data point is, yes, you can monitor transfers. There's death of joint tenant, there's an off-market transfer. So yeah, there's different ways to sort of monitor those off-market. Trusts are sometimes tricky because mailing addresses aren't always easy, but yeah, one of the sneaky ways to get deals before they ever make it into public records is actually using, this is a little bit glib, but if you watch the obituaries, you can do searches by people and you can find if their ownership of properties and backwards engineer it and get there first. So, or if you're a realtor and you really love working with seniors, you can get to them based on age and equity position. It's pretty cool.
Cool. We have a question here. What happens when forbearance ends in January 2021?
I just have a hard time thinking that it's going to end in 2021, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that either side, everyone's going to be kicking the can down as long as they can, trying to find a way to keep people in. I heard that Biden had a plan of where he wanted to keep homeowners in and recast their, forbearance amounts at least over 5 years. And so that means there's, no foreclosures for those 5 years. And what about negative interest rates? What are your thoughts on that?
We're not there yet, but actually Sean has been talking about the idea of another black swan hitting and us looking like Japan and having an interest rate that starts with a 1%. Dad has been talking for years about that 2% interest rate, and people in 2017, when he came with that report titles, thought he was nuts. But you know, it's one of the tools that we use to create inflation. And right now what we're experiencing is still unfortunately very deflationary. So
Right.
more money is on the way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. You borrow 300,000 and only pay back 240.
Just let it pay itself. Yeah, there are countries that are testing it. I just don't know if we're going to be one of them, but you know, we still have 2% more to go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as mortgage rates, as far as the Fed rate, yeah, I don't know. That is going to be very interesting to watch.
Awesome. All right. Oh yes. What about seniors that are in assisted living homes and own their homes free and clear? Can we find where they're at?
No, not always. You'd have to start advertising based on age. One of the public records things that you might like is death of joint tenant. So if you could find out, you could set it up to where you get notified every time somebody in your specific target market has a death of joint tenant, and that way start pursuing to see if that was if it's going to pass to a spouse or who's on site, and get in the way of it early before it turns into anything else. But as far as if a senior owns a home and they're living somewhere else, unless they change their mailing address in public records, we wouldn't catch it.
Do you have any way to find hoarders' houses?
The smell.
The cat food they buy.
Right. That is one of my favorite bullet points, actually. In the demographic data, there is information on where people give. So one of the examples I gave in my presentation was marketing to people who give to animal charities. I'm just going to send them a whole lot of cat postcards.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some things there. Hoarder houses are hard, but that's really that's like a driving for dollars thing. I don't know if everybody knows Property Radar has a really good app to where you're driving down the street, the GPS sort of follows you, and you could be looking up information. So if you see a rundown house and you're in front of it, you could take a picture, make some notes, and see who's there. Maybe you can, I don't know, if you're feeling very bold, peek through a window, but yeah, don't get shot.
All right, so let's talk about the driving for dollars. Does your app connect with the picture so then the picture can get loaded into your file and then you can use that to send off to your printer, or how does that work?
You know what? I don't know. You can upload pictures. Some people use Property Radar as almost like a CRM system to where you can make notes on the property and the people and upload your own pics. As far as getting it out, I haven't personally done it. I will have to look. I don't know if that's easy to export out. I know what you're talking about, to where you're exporting a lot of pictures to put on a postcard kind of thing.
Right.
I will have to look that up. I'm not sure if that's possible.
Yeah, because you know, if you don't remember which one, but being able to just load it right in with that particular address into Property Radar with the data, having it all together, and then you can do that one-off postcard that you're talking about, or one-off letter.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Again, you know, these are all the things that if you're looking for properties, you really need to start thinking about, because we're not going to have, I am with you. I don't believe we're going to have a big flood of properties coming out in the next 3-6 months, but you know, who knows? Something could happen.
Yeah, something could. I just think with a global pandemic,
I think hard to stuck.
Yeah, and I think of it from a landlord perspective. If there really is a huge wave, like you're the next person. So if we don't figure this out, you might have politicians come out and say, you can't use that as a criteria. Or like, what are we supposed to do as a landlord vetting all these people in the wave of an eviction? I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Believe me, I'm thinking about that right now. I'm dealing with some tenants. I try to be very generous and flexible. You know, if they lost their job, I'm going to do everything I can to bend over backwards because I don't want a vacancy. So, or I want to fill it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
the present moratorium on evictions goes until when? December 31st?
Yeah, and I just saw something that says that something got pushed back to the January 31st, but I don't know what it was. So I'll have to look it up. But yes, the CDC moratorium ends December 31st.
what is your guesstimate when it will be advanced, and how long do you think tenants will be able to live in their homes free?
I think that's a state question. So the way that Gavin Newsom wrote his orders is that it was tied to local, which makes me very upset and nervous. So as landlords, we're having to pay extra special attention to the city and county level when they lift their emergency restrictions. So I don't know. There were some counties in Southern California that was charging like $1,000 if you did something wrong. So it just makes me nervous to know that it doesn't matter. The CDC is going to lift the December 31st, but it doesn't mean the state can't come up with something else. They've been sued already, but lawsuits take forever.
They the state? They who? They the state?
Yeah, Newsom could create some emergency order that's going to end up in lawsuits, but that could take forever. So my advice as a landlord, I would just try to plug in and try to do what you can to find that money. Be that landlord that was in Riverside County that I got $500,000 grant check, and then help the tenants find resources to try to get you paid. I just think we have to be more aggressive on that front and be friendly, man. We're a little bit in this together. I know that there's some renters that are going to take advantage of it. I certainly haven't experienced that as a landlord, but I've also been very easy to work with. So we will see. California could be a very different situation come January 1st. That is why a lot of landlords are leaving California.
It is. It's almost like the exodus that happened in New York. So,
yeah.
All right,
So-
guys, we're gonna wrap it. Oh, looks like we got Sean dropping in. Let's
Yeah.
get Sean in here. I was just about to wrap up, but we can't wrap up without Sean. Give him a
There he
moment.
is.
There he is. All right. Unmute here. Sean, you want to unmute?
There we go.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
There's no late. We just appreciate you stopping in, Weo.
No, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the lack of onslaught of properties, that people are probably going to be stuck in their properties for a while, that there's not going to be foreclosures, there's not going to be evictions, and that next year probably will be the year of continuing to look for, how did you word that, Aaron? Private lead sourcing again?
2021, the year of off-market real estate again.
There you go, off-market real estate again.
Of course, that's the business we're all in, right? Like,
But there you go.
it
Right?
is how we all work. So this is like perfect time for us. Everybody else is shut out. We know what to do.
You're all like, yeah. Yes, and then I had commented how I was logging in to do some research, and I noticed nationwide. Congratulations.
Thank you. Long time in process. So very excited.
Yes. Well, no better timing. I mean, geez, this is great.
Yeah. And I think 2021 is going to be an interesting year. Just like we were having a conversation earlier about, I live in the mountains in Tahoe, and we've had just an incredible influx of people. I don't know, I should actually look at it, but median price is up substantially, 30 to 50%, right? Just, homes that were worth $550 are selling for $850, and that's 50 over asking. And, but what's interesting is a realtor friend of mine, she sold a home to a client. He has a big 4x4 truck. And she's like, well, this house isn't in the best location. It's got a steep driveway. It's got, it's kind of, you got to go up a hill. She's like, no, this is the house we want. We know for sure. Guess what he did the first snowstorm? Crashed that big truck.
Not used to driving in snow, is he?
No. So it's going to be really interesting to see what real estate prices happen, and what if we have a big winter, which we've had one snowstorm so far. If we have a big winter, Like, I don't know, you guys might all be shopping for deals up here as people exodus.
Well, and it's funny because, I've got renters at my house in Morgan Hill that came from New Jersey. And they have it in their mind that they want to get a house in the Redwoods. So they're looking in, Felton and Scotts Valley and that area. But, as they're going into the neighborhoods, which are like really into the neighborhoods and they're out in the boonies and they're having to live on septic and wells and, understand all of the, things that come with that. I'm looking at them going, oh, you guys are city kids, you're just not going to survive it out there.
I grew up spending my summers in Ben Lomond, which is right there.
Yes.
Hunting for slugs and dealing with all that.
It's
a weird world up there. Totally different.
Well, okay, so they're renting from me and she is having an issue because the ants are coming in and eating her dog's food. And I'm thinking, well, that's the least of your concerns going out into the woods. You're going to have snakes and raccoons and everything else eating that dog food.
Mountain lions grabbing your cat.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, but my point of that is that, people don't want to be cooped up, right? So they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else because now I can work from anywhere with, Zoom and everything like that. And I think that it's going to push up some of these outlying areas artificially until people realize, yeah, I'm really not a woodsy kind of person, or I'm really not a mountain kind of person, or.
I did mention it before though, which is my only counter thing is like they may be ahead of the curve because with Starlink, which I don't know if you saw the announcement, they got an $850 million grant for the satellite internet to serve underserved internet areas. That's a huge game changer for those areas, because if you can get, half gigabit internet in those same locations, they suddenly have a different value.
That makes good point. And what was the company? I guess I missed that one.
It's one of Elon Musk's companies. It's called Starlink.
Okay. Wow.
And it's low geosynchronous or LEO, low Earth orbit satellites. And unlike Hughes and those satellite internet providers today, these satellites are a lot closer to the ground. And so there isn't the delays, and it works for streaming video, for doing Zoom calls, for all that stuff.
Wow.
Which regular satellites don't.
Right. Wow. So Sean, why don't you give us a prediction for 2021? What should we be focusing on as investors?
What should we be focused? I think this is going to be, it's a very hard year to predict, right? Like there's a lot that could go on. We've got a lot of people in distress. There should be a lot of foreclosures. I don't think there will be for regulatory reasons. We've got a lot of people that moved very quickly and without a lot of thought that may decide they didn't like those moves. I think, and for us, for investors, for realtors, for mortgage brokers, like movement creates opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think 2021 will still likely be a year of high movement and high opportunity. But I think you're going to really have to pay attention. And, I think I said it last time I was on your group is, buy fear, sell greed. When everybody's saying, oh, this is the worst place to be and it's terrible and prices are way down, buy that. Like, maybe be buying, hotels right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like condo. Well, they haven't fallen as much as I thought, especially compared to rents. But condos in San Francisco, you would have thought maybe that would be an opportunity right now more than it is. But there doesn't, prices don't seem to be coming down enough to make that. But that's the kind of thing you kind of want to be constantly looking for, and not just at the market level, at the individual level. because you will have individuals press the panic button, right?
Sure.
Even when the market isn't, right? We're starting to see, my wife and I are looking for a second place down in San Luis Obispo, and it was everything sell, 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 sell. Now we're seeing price cuts, and it's still way over the market. You know, you got stuff listed for $1.3 million that wouldn't have sold for 800,000 last year, right? So it's still way over, and so it's coming back. But does one of those people put themselves in a position where they go, geez, I've been on market now for 6 months and I just need to cut, and they cut too far? So especially if something goes bad in the economy and, you know, the lockdowns right now, et cetera, there's going to be movement and opportunity. So I would not get complacent.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly think the movement creates the opportunity. You know, you just got to find the right people. So it may not be an entire market, like you said, but more on individuals within a market. And as an investor, we always have to know, or basically pay attention to the direction of the trend. But you can make money in a down market. You can make money in an up market. You just have to know what trend. And when a market's going sideways, that's the worst market because you don't know how to buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, and I think up markets are actually surprisingly the most dangerous for investors, because we tend to, it's like the stock market, right? It went up yesterday, it's probably going to go up tomorrow. Like, and the longer it goes up, the more certain we are that it's going to keep going up. And the same thing's true in real estate, that the longer, you know, the most dangerous time in real estate was 2006, late 2005, early 2006, where everybody's like, you know, really the National Association of Realtors, what's his name, wrote the book about like, this is not a bubble, right? And he did it right at the peak of the bubble. And that's when people get the most convinced that there's no risk.
Yeah.
It's when everything's going good. And I actually think that's when the most danger is. If you're buying into a down market, you're baking all of that in to your assumptions that it could keep going down and all the rest, and you're hyper aware. So, and same thing even in a flat market, right? You're going, okay, I can't count on appreciation. The other thing is appreciation. My sister-in-law, I probably shouldn't have been that explicit. Sorry if you're watching, but you know, she flipped quite a few houses and she did a gorgeous job of fixing them up. But I went back and did a little analysis on this, and I've never told her this, so I probably shouldn't be saying this. But
we won't tell her. What was her name?
But I went back and did just a little analysis, obviously using our software, right?
Yes.
Looked at her purchase price, looked at her sale price, had a rough idea of how much, you know, she spent like a year fixing these up, really did it. I mean, they were gorgeous. Those properties appreciated as much in that year that if she had just bought it, held it, resold it, and done no work, she would have made more money.
Wow. Okay, so your software will tell us that?
In hindsight, it's really easy. You go back and you look at the deal.
But I want the future. Come on. I want to know which one I can hold on to and then resell without having to rehab and take on that headache.
As soon as I invent that, I'm turning it off for you.
All right. Is there any questions for Sean or for Aaron while we have them? This is like open mic, people. Please come up with your questions. You can either take your mic off and talk, or you can chat. Either way is fine.
Sean, I told them that we were creating lists before you came on, and I gave them the idea of the 4 criteria that they can take away to save money, but you just give me the idea it's like a remorse list in secondary markets where you want to actually market to people who moved in the last year and it's winter.
Yes.
Are you done yet?
I love that.
I didn't finish doing it because I got sidetracked, but I think we had more cash purchases in Truckee this year than we had all purchases last year.
Okay, so those cash purchases, are people selling out of the Bay Area moving there, or are there investors, or what do you think it is?
Are they just, yeah, maybe they sold their house and bought up here cash. I think that's some of it.
You
I
don't think it's iBuyers coming in for some
No.
reason, or?
Not at all.
Okay,
Not a single one. Too tough of a market for an iBuyer.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't like bears.
Are you sure?
Have you guys checked out climate change I think it's climatechange.io? These guys are working on a widget for predicting the climatecheck.com, and they're building a report to predict the climate risk on your particular property around flood, fire, etc. Fire is not pretty where I live.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right, so let's talk nationwide for a moment. Again, questions, anybody have questions, feel free. Do you see any particular market other than California to be looking at for buy, rent, hold properties?
Yeah, even now being nationwide, my opinion on that, like, I started off in this business with a 4-hour rule that went down to a 2-hour rule. Now it's about a half-hour rule. So I think people they go, oh, I can get a 10 cap in whatever, Detroit, right? And I can only get a 5 cap here. It doesn't take very much expense of flying around, missing rents, dealing with a bad property manager to put you at a negative cap rate. And so I don't, I'm not saying no, but to the degree you do it with a really good partner, somebody who knows what they're doing, and be careful. I would not try to just do it remotely and then like call property managers at random.
Yeah. Good. Erin, I don't know if you can see the message here. There's one for you. What areas of Florida are you looking at these days? Kurt is in Tampa and Jacksonville.
Yeah, I like both those markets. Southwest Florida, just, yeah, there's plenty of places. Florida's a big state. If you like Florida, just start going around and go there. You better drive around and make sure you like it. It's such a different market than California, that's for sure.
Kurt
It's so
Byers
funny.
in Florida, that's news.
Say that again.
I know Kurt.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm surprised to see he now lives in Florida.
I'm not, Kurt, do you live in Florida or you're investing in Florida? We lost him. Oh, he's just investing. Yeah.
So I've got a Land B says, so Lake Tahoe is a bad area for fire and you will still buy and hold in Lake Tahoe. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tahoe's probably my favorite place on earth. So,
Yeah.
Some things are worth the risk.
I just went for my first time and I can see why.
Oh, you just went there?
I was there last week, yeah, and it's stunning.
Were you there when there was 3 feet of snow?
I didn't see that, but I'm not scared of snow. I actually, living on the East Coast, I really enjoyed the season change, so
Yeah.
I liked it.
I can say growing up in the Midwest and living, most of those years under the gray skies and the snow. Yeah, I like to go visit Tahoe, but I don't want to live there.
Kamar's asking about Jacksonville, and one of the things that's really interesting about being national, right, is like I had a hard time going out and going to clubs, like just staying up to speed what was happening in the various parts of California.
Yeah.
Now that we're national and people throw out Jacksonville or whatever, right? I've actually been to Jacksonville, so I can say that. But it was 30 years ago. And, but what I love is that with our heat maps. So
You want to share your screen and show that? I don't think people are aware of those.
yeah, let me try. My computer's been acting up. My mouse is jerking.
While he's doing that, I'll tell a quick story because I took a loan application last year and an investor filled it out and I called them back. I'm like, you left out a 0 because it was a triplex for like 50 grand. I'm like, you left out something. Sure enough. And when I was talking to the appraiser, I'm like, can you drive down this road and leave leave your window open? And the appraiser just hated that I asked the question. Jacksonville is a huge county. It's one of the biggest in the country with very different neighborhoods. So you better know what you're looking at.
Yeah, you better know which neighborhood you're going to too.
Yes.
You want to make sure that you're wearing the right color and that your vehicle's white.
Yeah, this is exactly what I would do. I love the heat maps of Property Radar. It's a great way to sort of explore.
So, downtown here, right? Pretty low. Right? I assume this is downtown. I didn't even know, but this seems to be the center. Pretty low values. Gets a little more expensive here on the St. Johns River. And then out at the beach is where, see the red here? It's where the most expensive, properties are, right? So I can start to tell that kind of pretty quickly. And then let's take a look. Let's see if there's a retirement community.
Sean, do you want to show them how you got to the heat map? Because I'm not sure everybody has been I mean, just real quick, I don't want to do a full tutorial, but just for those of us that have got it and others to see how easy it is.
You come into the main menu, go to Discover, and then in Discover, there's 2 tabs, Criteria for building lists and Layers for doing this kind of analysis. And then I just typed in, this will move the map to a location. It doesn't search for property, it just moves the map. And so I use that to move the map to Jacksonville really quickly. And then up here, I can turn on heat maps. I can also turn on boundaries. So if I want to see like where the counties are, and I have to zoom in a little farther, it'll put in the county boundaries or city boundaries or zip codes. But I just focus on this one. And so look at this, I don't see a hardcore retirement community. Like if you look in Rockland and Roseville, Rockland, you look at Sun City, like it's this dark red mass, right? But you can see it's an older population here and it's looking a little younger out here. See how it's darker red?
And that's interesting. In the area that it's an older neighborhood, lower price, it's also the older people.
Yeah. And so let's take a look at, and then it's also down here, not so much up here where all the older folks were, but right here in the center, see there's more red? That's the non-owner occupied. So this is where your rentals are too, is down in this area. I've got a little pocket of rentals out here as well, and some pockets here. Not very many rentals out here at the beach. It would also apply to second homes. Like if we were in Tahoe, you'd see a lot of red. But like, it's interesting, like in Tahoe Donner is red, second home community. Glenshire is blue. That's where the locals live. And you can see that just instantly, right, coming in. It's fun too to kind of compare, like if you look at estimated value, right? Like, okay, we saw where the expensive. Now let's look at home size, square footage. And here lighter is larger. So you also get your bigger homes out here, but close to the beach, it gets smaller again, right? And you get in the outskirts and the homes get bigger. And you get downtown, they get really small. And then let's look at a year built and see where we can spot the newer. So lighter is newer and darker is older, right? And that's kind of what you'd expect, right? Down here around the core is older properties. This seems to be the newer large home, probably subdivision development area. I have to zoom in a little bit to verify that, but this is, my guess is where all your new subdivisions are going. And, I can see here, this is a brand new subdivision right here. Another one here. Some of these are a little older. Kind of fun. So, you know, this is how I get, when somebody starts asking me, oh, what do you think about Jacksonville? This is how I start figuring it out, right? Older up here, and then it gets newer out here.
Do you have any way to print these or to get reports on this so that you can talk to your partners about it, or?
Print report, come in and use the map overview. I haven't done this in a long time. Oh, that's not the right one.
Didn't want to put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
All right, heat map. We really need to do some work on our reports. I haven't invested in them. Like, everybody's online now, you know.
Yeah.
But reports can be helpful.
So the other question I
This
have for
big
you
break,
is,
the whole thing's down now.
yeah, sorry. What kind of training do you have for investors if they want to learn how to use Property Radar and how to, you know, exploit its features and benefits?
So we did have a problem there. I'll check with the team and see what happened. But so one thing right up here in the question mark, video tutorials. Sorry, I thought this was a Merry Christmas thing, wasn't it?
Oh, it is, but you know, Merry Christmas. Get ready for next year.
Anyways, up here, you click the question mark and the video tutorials. These are, I wrote the scripts for all of these. So if you think they're not good, you can send me hate mail, Sean@propertyradar.com. And then,
wait, what? No, that was John at Property Radar, right?
and then the other thing right here is schedule a call.
Uh-huh.
You can just click that and you can do a one-on-one demo, and the team will sit there and walk you through everything.
Beautiful.
So that works really good.
Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna go back out to the people that are here. We've got about 5 minutes left. If you have any questions for Aaron or Sean, your clock is ticking because they're gonna go on and enjoy their, you know, their holiday times. And
Thanks for having us, Lori. I really appreciate it. And I wish everybody Merry Christmas. And
yeah, well, we really appreciate that you popped on. We're sorry you didn't get to see Santa and his little skit and his songs and all of his little jokes.
that's awesome.
It was fun. It was fun.
I posted a link to our community where today I posted an iBuyer open door that sent me a mailer as an example of some of what the iBuyers are doing with direct mail if you want to see. But if you ever get stuck with criteria and you need help and have a question, Sean and I actually look at the questions in the community. So if you need help, that's also a great resource.
Awesome.
So is it a paid membership, the Property Radar?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
But the community is free.
Okay.
And on that community, right? Like, so questions about software, you know, feel free to use our support team. That's better. But like, there's a lot of stuff in that community. So that community's been around since 2007.
Wow.
I think. And in there, there's a section on foreclosure investing. And I think Kurt Beyer actually used to participate in there, but so did Mike Thaler, who, if you've ever heard about like the HOA laws around foreclosures or any of that, like it was usually Mike Thaler that was like the guy on the other side that was getting vilified, and, you know, but that guy knew more about the foreclosure laws than anybody I've ever met in my life. Another guy, Danny B. If you went through, keep in mind, there's 900 posts in there. If you read all 900 posts, you would be one of the probably top 50 most knowledgeable people in foreclosures, at least in California, you know, overall. I mean, it's a masterclass.
Wow, that's for sure. Well, I have to say, I love using the system. And now that I see the nationwide, I'll be upgrading, believe me. So yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Say
Merry
hi to your
Christmas, everyone.
family. Be safe. And
Lori.
we will see
Everybody.
you in the new year.
Yes, we
Kurt,
will.
say hi next time you're in California. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.